Hi, I'm Dana, and it's time for this week's question. It comes from Stephanie, and she writes, my son used to go to sleep fine on his own. This past weekend, our neighbors were doing fireworks, and every night since he's been scared. He starts to cry when it's bath time, and he keeps crying every time he thinks I might leave the room. He's crying so much that he's vomited. What can I do to get him back on track? There were a number of people who wrote in about similar problems. One in particular was about a mother going back to work, her child being in daycare, and now there was lots of anxiety around bedtime caused by the daycare. And so I thought it was worth exploring a little bit with you today. So, that is totally fair and valid on his part. The fireworks were scary. He's having some anxiety now, and so what can you do? Similar with daycare. Lots of changes have gone on in his life. You are now gone a lot, and daycare is brand new. Of course, there's going to be a period of adjustment. And some children, handle it better than others, just like adults. And these are going to be reoccurring themes that happen as your child grows. Even starting school can be a bit of a trauma the first few days. And even going into grade 1 can be a tough transition. So they're going to definitely come up, and it's worth validating the fact that this child's having some anxiety and some fear. So I would start by explaining to him, maybe you want to show him what fireworks are, show him some pictures of fireworks, just so that he knows what they were and what they are, and that yes, they're noisy, but they're not scary. They show off beautiful lights, and that's why people do it. And then because he's so worked up, I would suggest, I'm not sure how old he is, but I'm guessing he's at least 2 or 3. You might decide to put a reward chart in, just to make it a positive thing, that he doesn't cry through the bath, he has a good time, he reads a story, gets into bed, and he doesn't cry, and therefore in the morning when his clock says 7, he can have some sort of reward. And again, set your intentions. What you want is for him to go to bed cooperatively and not to cry, and just so he knows what you expect from him. And then because it's been so tough on him and he's working himself up to such a state, I would suggest you do the stay in the room method again. Now, I hardly ever suggest that because I don't want a toddler to think, oh, all I have to do is kick a fuss and you'll come back and work your way out of the room again, and we can play this game every month, and you'll keep coming back. I really suggest once people have done it, you've done it, you don't revisit. But because this has been so tough on all of you, just to get him comfortable with the idea that he's fine and there's nothing to be scared about, I would do the stay in the room method, but I would just expedite the whole thing. So I'd maybe do 1 or 2 nights right by the bed, 1 or 2 nights in the middle of the room, 1 or 2 nights by the door, and now you're gone. So basically in about 5 nights, you've just reestablished your routine, you've cut the anxiety level, you can stay until he's asleep, and you can tell him that, and work your way out. And treat the night wakings, if there's any, in the same manner, that you're fine and he's fine, and you're going to work your way out. And then by night 5, it should be back on track. I mean, the good news is he was a good sleeper in the past, so we know he can do this. He knows he can do this. It's just a matter of reminding him. And similar with any kind of daycare trauma or adjustment period, you can, go back to sort of speeding your way through the stay in the room method. Don't stall out, though. I've already warned in earlier episodes that you really shouldn't stall out somewhere and start staying in the room every night, because it's just going to cause lots of problems down the road. So 5 nights, speed your way through it. If there's still some crying after night 5, you're going to leave him 5 or 10 minutes, and you can go back, remind him that it's nighty night. You can even say to a toddler that you'll come back and check, but only if he's quiet. Okay, so if he's crying and kicking up a big fuss, you're not going to come back. If he's quiet, you can go, back every minute at first to really reinforce it. Oh, thank you for being quiet, I'll be back. Thank you for being quiet, I'll be back. And then as the nights go on and he's getting more comfortable with it, you just start spacing out your going back. Was a minute, now it's 3 minutes, now it's 5 minutes, now it's 10, until he no longer needs you to keep coming back to check on him. Okay, so That problem, Stephanie. Thanks for your question. Sleep well.